The rusty pruning shears seem like nothing more than scrap, but after just a few simple steps, they can cut through branches smoothly like new, leaving you genuinely surprised. The blades were no longer sharp but had become dull, with the cutting edges clearly worn down. When applied to a branch, they only slipped and crushed it instead of making a clean cut. With this level of heavy rust, using just WD-40 isn't enough for a thorough restoration, as it mainly helps with lubrication and only partially loosens the surface rust. Therefore, in the next part, I'll share a detailed process to fully restore these shears, from removing the rust to sharpening the blades. First, I'll spray some WD-40 into a plastic cup, just a moderate amount, enough for use to avoid any waste. After spraying WD-40 into a cup, I'll add a bit of baking soda. When combined, the mixture becomes thicker, allowing it to adhere better to the metal surface and enhance the cleaning effectiveness. Next, I'll gradually add baking soda while stirring continuously until the powder fully absorbs the WD-40 in the cup. After stirring, I'll cover the cup tightly with a piece of aluminum foil to minimize evaporation. This helps keep the mixture moist and prevents it from drying out during use, while also keeping dust from getting in, ensuring it remains effective when applied to remove the rust from the shears. I'll use pliers to loosen the joint connecting the two blades. Disassembling it this way separates each part, making it easier to thoroughly remove rust from hidden areas like the hinge and the inner surfaces of the blades. Now it's time to clean the surface. I'll place all the disassembled parts of the shears into a tray. Then pour in white vinegar until all the components are fully submerged. White vinegar has mild acidic properties that help soften and break down long-standing rust, making the cleaning process easier and more effective before moving on to the next steps. For an extra boost in rust removal, I'll add some hydrogen peroxide to the vinegar. The mixture creates a slightly more reactive solution, which helps break down stubborn rust even faster. This combination enhances the cleaning process, allowing the metal to become brighter and more thoroughly restored before moving on to sanding and sharpening. Now I'll leave the parts soaking the vinegar for a while, so the solution can react with the rust. After one day of soaking, the vinegar has turned completely cloudy and darker in color. The rust has been significantly softened and is now ready for the next cleaning step. Now I'll take the parts out and rinse them thoroughly with water to remove any remaining vinegar solution along with the loosened rust. I'll use a brush to thoroughly scrub the entire surface, especially the small crevices and the hinge area. Applying moderate pressure helps remove any remaining dirt and rust residue, restoring a cleaner and brighter metal surface, ready for the next steps. Scrubbing with a brush only removes surface dirt, and the loosened, light rust, while stubborn rust that's deeply embedded in the metal still can't be fully eliminated. Therefore, in the next step, I'll use the baking soda and WD-40 mixture prepared earlier and apply it directly to those areas, allowing for deeper cleaning and more thorough removal of the remaining rust. After evenly applying the baking soda mixture to the blades and all parts of the shears, I'll cover the entire surface with paper towels and let it sit for a while. Next, I'll spray an additional layer of WD-40 over the paper towels covering the surface. This allows the solution to seep through the towels, keeping the mixture underneath moist and more effective. At the same time, the WD-40 enhances penetration into the stubborn rust layers. After letting it sit for about 30 minutes, the rust has softened significantly, and I'll begin sanding again. During this process, I'll add a bit of water to keep the surface moist. The water helps reduce friction, prevents deep scratches on the metal, and also washes away rust particles and debris created sanding. After sanding, the metal surface shows a clear improvement. The rust has been almost completely removed, revealing a brighter layer of metal underneath. Areas that were once dull and rough have become smoother and more even, and the pitted spots have been significantly reduced. To move on to sharpening the blades, I'll first soak the whetstone in water. This allows the stone to absorb enough moisture, providing lubrication during sharpening and reducing excessive friction on the blade surface. Now I'll start with coarse sharpening to remove the slightly dull parts of the blade and restore its basic shape. At this stage, I'll apply moderate pressure and move evenly along the blade's angle. During coarse sharpening, I'll move along the length of the blade, always maintaining the original angle between the blade and the whetstone. This ensures a consistent cutting edge without uneven spots or dips. Sharpening in the direction of the blade preserves its natural shape from base to tip, resulting in stable and precise cutting performance once finished. The angle is kept just right to make the blade sharp while still retaining durability, avoiding over-thinning that could weaken or warp the edge. For this part of the blade, I'll use a file to work directly on the contact edge, the area responsible for cutting, to create true sharpness. The file allows for precise shaping of the edge. After this step, the cutting surface will become cleaner, smoother, and sharper, ensuring the shears can cut through branches easily and efficiently. After completing the coarse sharpening, I'll move on to the fine sharpening stage to refine the edge. At this step, I'll use a finer grit whetstone and apply lighter, more controlled strokes. The goal here is not to remove material quickly, but to smooth out the edge, eliminate any remaining burrs, and enhance sharpness. The shears now have a noticeably bright and clean metal surface, with a dull, rusty appearance completely gone. The blades look polished and smooth, reflecting light clearly. After the blades have been fully sharpened and filed, I'll proceed to reassemble the shears. When testing on a sheet of paper, the blades glide through smoothly without requiring much force, producing a clean and even cut. The paper is sliced instantly, with no tearing or frayed edges, showing that the blades have reached optimal sharpness. The cutting feel is smooth and well balanced in hand, completely different from before the restoration. When cutting small wooden sticks, the blades bite in firmly and slice through with ease. Instead of crushing or splintering the wood like before, the shears now make a clean, controlled cut. The cut ends appear neat and relatively smooth with minimal fraying. Even with slightly thicker pieces, the shears require less force, delivering a steady and precise cutting action that clearly demonstrates the improved sharpness and strength. Overall, the restored shears now demonstrate a clear level of sharpness and efficiency. The blades cut cleanly with minimal effort, delivering precise and consistent results across different materials. Compared to their original rusted and dull condition, the improvement is significant, not only in cutting performance, but also in handling and reliability. This restoration process proves to be highly effective, turning what seemed like unusable scrap into a fully functional and dependable tool once again.